One of the undoubted highlights of last year's musical landscape was the creation and then the performances of the Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra. And they're back this summer with a second tour, led once more by the Ukrainian-Canadian conductor Keri-Lynn Wilson and made up of Ukrainian musicians from orchestras all around the world. Still with the aim of keeping support for Ukrainian culture and music alive. They're going to be performing tomorrow at Snake Maltings in Aldeburgh and then on Sunday at the Barbican. And I'm delighted Keri-Lynn is right here with me.
Good evening.
Hello.
Dobry večer, as they would say in Ukrainian.
Thank you very much. So good to have you here. And I should also wave and shout hello to Marko Komonko. Hello, hello. I've let him off the hook. He's not going to come and chat, but he's waving and smiling. And at the piano, we've got Michael Pandya, who is a new generation artist, recent recruit. Lovely to see you again, Michael. So they're going to be playing for us in a moment. But Keri-Lynn, yes. Welcome. You're in the midst of this tour, aren't you? How's it going?
Yes, we are. It is always an emotional roller coaster being with these musicians. They're all Ukrainian. They all have their individual stories of their experiences in this horrific war. And we're coming together this summer again on our mission to prove to Putin and his regime that you can't silence Ukrainians, you can't take away their voices. And so our mission, I like to say, my soldiers of music and I are fighting on the cultural front for the future of the country and to defend its freedom. Marko is our concertmaster, so I'm thrilled that he's here to play for you as well. It's, the group is an extraordinary group of musicians. They're all so talented, and what makes it extra special, of course, is, the idea was that I founded this orchestra in desperation to help my colleagues, brothers and sisters in Ukraine whose voices had been silenced, to give them that voice back, thinking of creating a refugee kind of orchestra. But it turns out we have 34 members who are actually still in Ukraine, and then the members who are not living in Ukraine either fled or they are already established in orchestras in Europe. So last year was an adventure, you could say, to say the least. I mean, putting an orchestra together in 10 days and going on an international tour of the most prestigious festivals is quite an accomplishment.
Yes.
And it was so successful that we absolutely had to form again. And so now it's an established orchestra, and we are galvanizing all audiences once again to support Ukraine and its wonderful musicians.
One of the key parts of it, of course, is to promote and share wonderful Ukrainian music. And we have music by a composer called Myroslav Skoryk, who we're going to hear now. And I think their music features in the concert you're giving this weekend as well.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Probably the most played theme in Ukraine in today's atmosphere and in the climate of the war is his melody. Melody, I think, was played at the Eurovision. It's been played, all over Ukraine for publicity and thing. It's just the most catchy tune. He is an extraordinary composer who has a real flair for capturing Ukrainian folklore, but at the same time he's also very aware of what is very appealing. So he wrote this melody, which is so successful. But I think what you're going to hear is even more interesting.
Yeah, it's from the Hutzl Triptych, and it's the Allegretto. So if you're ready, Marko and Michael, we'd love to hear it. Yes? Cool. Such atmospheric music, beautifully played there. Thank you, Marko Komonko. Thank you, Michael Pandya. Marko violin's there and concertmaster of the Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra. Usually, am I right in saying you're normally the soloist with the Lviv Philharmonic? Yes, that's correct. And yeah? Before the war started, yeah. As well, thank you for playing. You'll be playing again in a short while. And Keri-Lynn, that was just fab, wasn't it?
Vitayu. That means congratulations or bravissimo.
You're listening to In Tune. It's 6:30 and my guests are with me still in the studio. We have Marko Komonko on the violin and Michael Pandya on the piano, and we have Keri-Lynn Wilson here as well. We are talking about the Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra tour, and we're going to chat some more in a moment, but I'm delighted to say that Marko and Michael are going to play some more music now from the Hutzl Triptych by Myroslav Skoryk. You were loving that, Keri-Lynn Wilson.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love the folkloric elements of that. It just makes you dance. There's
doesn't
so much
it?
energy and played so brilliantly.
Thank you.
Tell us what else we've got from Ukraine in the program that you're giving.
So we're also playing, you mentioned the Skoryk melody, and we will finish with our very symbolic arrangement by Yuri Shevchenko of the Ukrainian national anthem, which is always the tearjerker on the program. But this year we've chosen the second concerto of Yevhen Stankovich. He is still alive. He's living in Kiev, and I believe he's 80 or so years old. He, before the invasion, had experienced a certain amount of freedom. But before then, he's a composer of a celebrated composer of Ukraine who's experienced oppression from the Soviet regime. So I feel very happy that we can play his music all over the world, and it's also broadcast. His concerto is very beautiful. It's very solemn, and it's very it's full of these sharp contrasts and dissonances, and it's so expressive. And I believe that for several of the cities where we are performing, it's a world premiere. So it makes us very proud that we can perform for Mr. Stankovich his beautiful concerto.
You've paired it with Beethoven, and you were just mentioning to me before, when we were chatting off air, how moving it has been for you to be able to perform Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, sung for the first time in Ukrainian. Tell us about that.
Yes, so London audiences are actually going to hear us play the Eroica at the Barbican. We selected two symphonies this tour. One was the Ninth, of course, and that was initially just to open our concerts before the tour in Warsaw. So we had planned that we would have a Polish chorus singing Beethoven's Ninth, of course, in its original language of German. But only 3 weeks ago, I thought to myself, look, what would be more symbolic than performing it, singing it in Ukrainian? So I scrambled to find the actual translation, which existed 30 years ago. It was a long story, but within a few days, I had it inserted into the score with the help of a vocal coach who is Ukrainian and German, because you cannot just put a text, a translation into a score. It has to be done very well so that musically it makes sense as well. This was done within 3 days, and the Polish chorus agreed to sing it in Ukrainian for this concert in Warsaw. They had less than a week to learn it. This is all out of love. It's out of our passion to defend Ukraine and help the people. So, the reason was because Putin is trying to silence not only the culture, but the language. He doesn't want any sense of, culture or history of this country. He wants to obliterate it. So it made the performance all that more powerful. We had one performance of the tour that happened to fall on Ukrainian Independence Day, which was August 24th, and it was planned in Berlin. So once we had this set up in the Ukrainian language, I thought, we've got to perform this in Berlin on Ukrainian Independence Day. And the government was so supportive, the Minister of Culture and the ambassadors of Ukraine there, that the president of Germany attended the performance, and it was a historic performance there as well. And I'm so thrilled that the recording of the Warsaw performance will actually be broadcast. It's being broadcast all over the world, but I just found out today that it will be also on BBC.
Yep, you can hear it here on Radio 3. I believe that's on September the 27th.
Correct.
22nd. 22nd, September the 22nd. So we will put that in our diaries.
Thank you
we'll
so
be looking
much.
forward to that very much indeed. Now, it's wonderful. It sounds as if it has been already another historic and moving and beautiful tour. And we wish you all the best for the next couple of concerts. But we have more Myroslav Skoryk to come, because we've talked about melody a few times now, but now we're going to hear it, aren't we? So, guys, if
you'll recognize it,
I think there's a fighting chance. That's good. So, Marko and Michael, if you're ready, let's hear for the third time some Skoryk, but this one is called Melody. Such an emotional piece of music, so beautifully played. Marko Komonko and Michael Pandya, thank you. That was Melody by Myroslav Skoryk, and that will be performed as part of the concert by the Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra tomorrow at St Maltings, then in Barbican on Sunday. And it's been such a pleasure to have you all here. Keri-Lynn Wilson, thank you for
Thank you so very
telling
much
us
for
about
having
the
us
tour
and supporting the Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra.
Absolutely.
Bravo, Marko.
Yes, thank you,
And Michael.
guys. Absolutely wonderful. We'll see you again, I'm sure. And September 22nd.
Yes.
The Warsaw concert here on Radio 3. Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.